how a solo bankruptcy attorney has built a 45-year practice without the feel or becoming a mill in a unique part of Tennessee. Eron Epstein, great to have you.
Thank you, Philip. Always my pleasure.
So, Eron, I talk to a lot of debtor attorneys and consumer bankruptcy attorneys that are getting in, they want to grow their practice. But a big concern I hear all the time is, I don't want to be a mill. I don't want to be a mill. Like, people literally say those words verbatim to me. I don't want to be a mill, right? And you've always created an energy with your team and with your staff and what you've put out in the world with advertising, where you are a high filing bankruptcy attorney in a unique part of Tennessee and northern Georgia. But man, you have that boutique feel that's very unique. And I'd like to just unpack that a little bit.
Well, the simple answer is that I'm very hands-on to a fault, but I love what I'm doing. So I do have somebody who is an intake specialist and will talk to the clients, but at some point I will personally reach out and speak to the potential client.
Mhm.
That probably is what separates me from 95%. Because a lot of times people will just come in and say, well, I called 3 or 4 lawyers. You're the one who talked to me.
Yeah.
Might take you 3, might take you 5 minutes. I
Mm.
tell them when I'm on the phone with them, I said, listen, I don't practice law by ear after 45 years, but I want to hear the backstory. I want to understand what your problem is. I want to tell you whether I can help you or not. And I don't want to, it's a bit of a screening process
Yeah.
because, the most important cases turn out to be the ones that you don't take.
Mhm.
You have to be, especially if you're going to stay solo, you've got to be judicious in, who you set appointments for. So we have a very high conversion rate, high turnout rate. But we don't have to have that many appointments.
So let's unpack the lead flow here, because you really do have, you've worked a lot on process. I mean, this is not something that just a lead comes in haphazardly and someone answers the phone, right? Like,
That's right.
you've worked on that pretty well. So let's unpack this. A lead comes in the door, right? They talk to a front office staff, right?
They talk to
And
a caseworker. Yeah.
they talk to a caseworker. So is a receptionist the caseworker?
No, the receptionist is just there to give them a little warm fuzzy and take some of the edge off.
Mhm.
They have a very small data form that they fill out. They meet with the paralegal for 30 to 45 minutes,
Mhm.
sometimes an hour if it's a deep means test case. Um, and then I meet with the client.
Okay.
So
So you
I'm
meet with
there
every single client,
every single client.
every single client. And how long are those meetings? So actually, before we go there, you get the person comes in, they talk to the front office, little
Right,
case, warm and fuzzy. It hands it to a paralegal, which is
right,
going to talk to them for 20, 30, 40 minutes,
right.
depending on the complexity of the case, right?
Correct.
Do we have to run through means tests? No, yes, whatever that is. And then and then is it immediately handed off to you, or is there an appointment set to talk to you, or how does that work?
No, they immediately speak with me. Now I get, we download the tri-merge and they
Mhm.
set up schedule AB and CD,
Mhm.
and EF. They set up all the schedules for me as far as what's secured, what's on, what's priority. And so I have a pretty good feel by the time it gets to me uh,
Of
as to
course.
what their options are. And
Yeah.
then I just present their options.
And how long are you meeting with them during that
I
meeting?
would
Like,
say the average would be 20 to 30 minutes, just
okay,
just me and them, just the client and myself.
okay.
You know, they usually decide, well, this is a big decision. I said, I don't want you to make the decision today, but I want you to think about it. Here's what give them. Usually it's a binary choice.
Hmm. Yeah.
Here's what's your risk profile, and then they usually will come back and file.
Mm. So do you try to get them to sign right then?
It depends on the case. Not I'm more averse to that because I don't think. Let me explain, and this relates to our earlier conversation.
Hmm.
we don't have a quota here.
Mhm.
If you want to have a mill, you're going to have a quota.
Mhm.
So I will not do anything to force anybody to file because I've got numbers to make. And I make sure my employees know that there are no bonuses for filing more cases one month than another. I'd rather pay them what they're worth or more than they're worth, or I'd rather do that than have them feel like, if I can just get this person to file, then, we're going to make more money.
Right.
And I've actually hired people who worked at mills, and it really was stressful for them because they had so much pressure on them to make their numbers. So, once again, that's a 45-year thing. If you take the long view, let the client decide if it's the right choice.
So, you've mentioned to me before, it can't be about the money. I mean, you've said that. You've said
Right.
that consistently over the years. And at your stage, it's easy to say that, right? When you were beginning, it's hard because you got payroll, you got to pay the filing fees. Like I was talking to a client today and she called me and she's like, look, here's what I'm charging. How come I'm not making money? Right. And we start unpacking all her fees and stuff. Right. And yes, it's important. Obviously, you can't be about the money because the clients feel it. It just it's in there. But it is hard. There's like, it's when you're starting off, it's a lot harder to think like that than it is at our age. What would you say to a young person like the lady I spoke to today
Let me
who's
just say that it was not hard to think that way. The hard part was all of a sudden having to turn down personal injury cases, which back in the day were just like, you know, a gift out of the sky, just
Mhm.
money falling in your hands. Just you wrote a letter and you got 4 or 5 times medical. So walking away from that to specialize, and once again, that's part of the key, is to focus on doing one thing well. I don't know what it must be like right now to start out right now. I mean, it's a great question. For me, I had been doing it for just a few years before I went out on my own. And so I had a few clients that I took with me. So I would just say, you need to have a war chest. You know, you need to have,
some money in the bank. You need to have some money in the bank to invest in marketing or what generate the business
if
in
you're,
order. Yeah.
uh, once again, it's a great question. And I do not know what I would do now. And then, 45 years ago was a different time.
Mhm.
We didn't have internet. You had the yellow pages. The big advice I got back in 1980 was, hey, you need a double truck in the yellow pages. And I'm like, what? A double truck? You know what that costs? Even
Yeah.
back then, it was 30 or $40,000 a year. I was like, now I wasn't making that much money, but he turned out to be right. That was the sweet spot.
So let's go back to that moment, right? Let's go back to the time when that person said to you, you need a double truck out, you double truck in the phone book. Double truck is a double page, right? In the phone
Right.
book. And everyone remembers, maybe not everyone, but we remember when they would drop off phone books that thick.
Yeah.
And it would be the attorneys or something like that on the back page of the
Right.
of the
Never a bankruptcy lawyer.
yeah. But when you had to make that decision to put 30 or $40,000 on a double truck ad when you didn't have it. What was your calculus on that? Because you obviously had to invest in the firm in order to build it. But it's hard to invest when you don't have the money. I mean, did you put it on a credit card? Did they make payments or how'd that work?
Well, it was a monthly spend, so
Okay.
it's like, five, 3 or 4 thousand a
Yeah.
month, I'm guessing back wherever it was. I'm not sure I was that rational. I was like, hey,
You're like, okay, we'll
I'm
try
a
it out.
farmer. I'm
Yeah.
planting seeds. It's going to take a while for the crops to grow. You've got to take the long view and you've got to be able to have patience because if you deliver the quality,
Mhm.
it will pay off. But you're talking about 1980 versus 2025.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just different. I mean, it's different because people still have to invest in their product, right?
Right.
And you saw how this phone started ringing with with the phone book. And did you re-up the following year?
I was the last guy out of the phone book. It's only that
So
was 10
so
years ago.
clearly it worked. Hey, I want to pivot to another question. You mentioned specialization, right? We got people, we've had them on these YouTube channels asking about PI. And 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 you mentioned specialization. You're 100% bankruptcy, right?
Right.
Okay. 7 and 13. Do you do business bankruptcy?
Never.
No. So it's 7, it's consumer bankruptcy, 713 hard stop.
That's it.
And when a client of yours comes in for with a PI case or something like that, because you have a relationship with all these people, you refer them out and just get a referral fee.
Well, that's one of my, Achilles heels. I have not done a great job of cross marketing.
Hmm.
Most of the clients, especially in the early days, would come to me for the bankruptcy, and then 6 months later, they'd say, "Oh, Mr. Epstein, I just settled this personal injury case with this other lawyer."
Hmm.
And I said, "Well, I probably could have helped you with that."
Hmm.
"Oh no, everybody, this other lawyer told me that you only did bankruptcies, you didn't do personal," which at some point became true. But cross marketing is probably one of my weak spots, and
So
especially
is that something you would looking back, you would pivot a little
I
bit
would
away from?
definitely have nurtured a relationship with, you know, a good PI firm.
Mhm.
And I happen to be married to, a lawyer who does personal injury. So on occasion, she, gets a referral,
Right.
but not enough, really. That part of maybe that's what you give up when you get highly specialized.
Mhm.
It's not impossible. It's hard to cross market.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I'm on your email list. Like, I see what you post. I see how your firm does that. If you started like a small pivot of like, hey, your go-to lawyer to direct you in the right direction. I mean, you have that Southern hospitality, like, and it's so genuine, Eron Epstein, right? You start putting that out, talk to your marketing manager about that. You'll be getting calls. Hey, what should I do about this? What should I do about that? I think that would be an easy pivot for you because your heart does show up. Your heart shows up in your ads and your emails and everywhere you go. And it's because of like that's your DNA. So anyway, just throw it out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's good to know. I think once again, if you do take the long view, people will trust you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, for
that's
sure.
and so, and also when I refer somebody out, and I refer a lot of business cases out to the few lawyers who are left, doing them, the ones that haven't aged out, it reflects on me. So I'm very careful about referrals to somebody. I'm not trying to blow them off. It's just not in my wheelhouse.
When you have a unique sort of like boutique feel, and I say boutique feel because, I mean, you're all over the place in your counties. You're all over the place in your counties. That you get that word of mouth referral that's different than than the mill. Would you agree with that statement?
The longer you do it, the better it gets. I'd have to ask my marketing coordinator. What I think about 31% of our clients are client referrals.
Wow.
That's just the ultimate organic lead, right?
31%
Um,
of your clients right now this year, 2025, organic or are referrals. I mean, that is wow. I mean, just think about that in terms of profitability. Why have you decided not to expand statewide? Because this is something we've talked about before. And after COVID, a lot of people went statewide, but you chose not to.
well, other lawyers have tried it for me and failed.
Mm.
I can't say too much because there's some negativity in some of the other jurisdictions that we don't have here. We are in the mecca of bankruptcy, northern Georgia, northern Alabama, southeast Tennessee, and even just 100 miles away, it's a different world completely. And it's not nearly as debtor counsel friendly in the other jurisdictions in Tennessee.
Mm.
Not even close. This is the dream spot.
Okay, so that's interesting. So part of the reason why you've niched out, whether you chose this or you fell into it, it favors the debtor counsel as opposed to, other areas. I didn't really even know that, actually. I didn't know that that's why you
Well,
chose
that's
not.
that's a big reason.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
say
It
too
makes
much.
a lot of sense.
But yeah, we are in the right place, and I guess it's work for me, and I understand scaling the practice, and all I've tried to do. I am in a number of counties. I mean,
Yeah.
all over the Southeast Tennessee and Northern Georgia corridor, if you want to call it. So, we've got enough people, keeping us busy. You know, uh,
Well, a lot of people get confused of scale and profitability. There's a big difference, right? What
that's right.
really matters is the profitability of the firm. That's the only thing that matters.
It's
I
what
mean,
you take home.
what do you take home? That's it, and that's a big breakdown in the marketplace, which I see happen all the time. So,
Well, it always bigger sometimes looks better.
mhm.
And, and if you can do it well, good, more power to you. I cannot, I cannot keep my level of quality service up at more than a certain number of
Mhm.
cases. So don't sell more than you can service,
Yeah,
no matter what your business is, but especially in a legal profession. Don't overextend yourself, because over time, if you're take the long view, over time, it will catch up with you. And if your service starts faltering, then you won't have that much sales to worry about.
you're not going to get the 31% in past client referrals
Right.
if that's happening. Eron Epstein, moneyproblems.com. Thank you for your time, Eron.
Always a pleasure, Philip. Thank you.